Buddham Saranam Gachchami.
Buddham Saranam Gachchami.
Dhammam Saranam Gachchami.
Dhammam Saranam Gachchami.
Sangham Saranam Gachchami.
Sangham Saranam Gachchami.
Buddham Sharanam Gachchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gachchami, Sangam Sharanam Gachchami. Now you might be wondering that I am leading you onto the path of Buddhism, but that is not my idea. These were the three paths given by Buddha. And what is he saying here? Now, Buddham does not mean follow me because I am Buddha. In fact, Gautama was most likely given this title, the Buddha. Though I have read it in many places that Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama, has been portrayed as the only Buddha in Kali Yuga. Whereas, if I am allowed to infer from the Devi Purana, Buddha is one of the 10 avatars of Vishnu. It nowhere says it is Gautam Buddha. It simply says Buddha, which means those people who lead the way, inspire people to live by higher values and wisdom. Now, in that sense, there have been many Buddhas and there can be many Buddhas in this era. For example, Mahavira was no less a Buddha, nor was Jesus any less, or Muhammad for that matter. If I am missing out on any name, pardon my ignorance. I am not wanting to make this club exclusive by any chance. But Gautama was one of the Buddhas of our times, of times that were 3,000 years ago. In that sense, Shankara, Adi Shankaracharya, too must have been a Buddha because he led the way which people follow till date, and they are living a far more peaceful life than other people in their own generation. And what is he saying? Buddham Sharanam Gachchami. Follow the path of Buddha or the wise one. Refers to wisdom acquired through meditation and contemplation. A clear understanding of the world, existence, universe, etc. The second path that he is offering, Dhammam Sharanam Gachchami. Dhammam or Dharmam. So what is Dharma? Unfortunately, in the English domination era, Dharma has been reduced to just a religion or a cult, whereas it is not that. Dharma in its fundamental meaning is the way of the universe. So when you say Sanatana Dharma, you are actually stating that you follow the Dharma of the Sanatana, the only one, the Almighty, Parabrahma, Paramatma, and any form of the Parabrahma, Paramatma that you revere as a deity. So Dhammam Sharanam Gachchami. Sangam Sharanam Gachchami. That's a third formula he has given us. What is Sangam? Is it only company? Actually, Sangam is the ecosystem. In today's technological era, most of us can understand this. In order to have a facility, in order to have a change and sustain that change, more than anything else, you need to work on creating an ecosystem that supports that change. Whether it is 4G, 5G, 2G, 3G, whatever G you might put, unless you had the infrastructure, the ecosystem, even this internet, even YouTube that you are watching, unless Google created an ecosystem, this facility would not have been available to you. Now, if you look at most of our lives, we have done not much to create an ecosystem that supports us in our higher pursuits. It supports a lot of nonsense that has been sold by the society, economy, businesses, but it does not support. For example, I have known so many people who wanted to practice pranayam or wanted to take up yoga, and they've been wanting to do so for more than 20 years. And it is not that they don't know anything at all. Even people who know don't practice. Why don't they practice? They know a few things. They want to practice, but they don't. Why don't they? Simply because they do not have an ecosystem which supports that particular practice. You want to call it consequence management or whatever else, unless you had an ecosystem. So Sangam is the ecosystem that you need to create. Now the ecosystem is not just external. For dhyana, the ecosystem is primarily internal. And here is how I want to demonstrate this to you. So pause this video or the podcast for now. Go get yourself a watch or a clock or an app if you want, which has the seconds needle. Okay, you need to have seconds needle. You can't have a digital watch, but you should have a seconds needle. Pause this podcast and get yourself a wall clock, a wristwatch, or an app on your phone and get back. All right, so welcome back. I hope you have now with you a clock with a needle that shows you every second that it moves. What I want you to do is wait for the watch to come to any of the following 3, 6, 9, or 12, and you start simply watching it. Just watch it tick by. Do not count. Do nothing else. Just keep watching. My clock just struck 9 and I've started to watch. I am speaking, but you don't speak or think. Just watch the needle tick away. Nothing wrong with the recording, nothing wrong with your phone or the computer, nothing wrong with YouTube, nothing wrong with the podcast. You've just experienced 2 minutes of nothingness. Believe me, for most people, it is the most unnerving experience. We have become such doing machines. Our brains have become so accustomed to being in a frenzy of activity that not doing something for just 2 minutes, arresting your attention to nothingness. Now, this is not even nothingness, it was still some movement happening, but no thinking, no inputs to the brain. It is probably the most unnerving experience. Now, the question is, you and I, who cannot hold our attention to nothingness for just 2 minutes, what chances do we have of experiencing any level of meditation? So the gentleman who asked me this question, what is the use of meditation, was not wrong, because it is a weird experience. We are very accustomed to having thoughts. If we aren't entertaining ourselves with a TikTok video or a web series, then we are constantly having worrisome thoughts. So the brain has to do something all the time. And that's the kind of obsession we have created for our brain. Now, whether it was you or whether it was your environment, social structure, technology, school, college, government, business, electronic media, who cares? Your ecosystem is in no way allowing any form of meditation to happen. So the Zazen practice, sitting meditation twice a day, every day, to get yourself accustomed to create an ecosystem within which allows you to hold your attention towards nothingness for extended period of time. Gradually, you will be able to carry this state of mind, the state of nothingness, right into every activity of yours. A brain under extreme activity is not much of use to the owner of the brain. It is of immense value, it is of immense utility for other people, because you can be made to act out of impulse. You can be driven to do things because of fear or because of greed, or the latest phrase that I've been listening to is FOMO, fear of missing out. You can be made to do a lot of things which you otherwise, in a sober, equanimous state of mind, may not even consider as an option. In a frenzy, you will act upon your impulse. In a frenzy, you will take a decision based on whatever you perceive to be of self-interest in that moment. If you think that is living by the moment, it's not. It is simply living from one impulse to the other. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, what is the use? Okay, so I will blank my mind, and then what will happen? I'll give you a simile. The computer you are watching right now, or the smartphone that you're watching right now, what is its original state? When there is no activity, or the activity may be in the background, you put it on standby. And when it is on standby, what is its original state? It is put in a state of rest. And out of this state of rest, when you push that button, it comes alive, starts to show you some pictures in a very clear-cut pattern that you are accustomed to. And then you can watch whatever media that you consume. Now, the media also comes in a pattern which you are able to recognize, relate with, because you are accustomed to it. Now, let us say one picture comes and the next one comes and the next one comes, but the first picture forgets to get out. If your phone never went back to its original state of nothingness and continued to play one video after the other, one image after the other, what do you think you'll be able to see after a bit? After a while, you can't make out what is there, because one photograph, one image, 20,000 images have superimposed one on top of another, and you can't make out anything now. Something similar has happened to our brains. all this heightened state of activity, obsessive compulsive disorders, ADD, ADHD amongst children, all these are not lifestyle diseases. These are all problems with your brain and the way you are making it function. Now, ADD, ADHD, attention deficiency, to put it simply, is a frontal lobe disorder. Now, the frontal lobe is something you use to think about most things that you need to accomplish. It is your window to the short-term future. What you decide to do 1 hour later and you go ahead and accomplish it is a function of the frontal lobe. You drive a car, function of your frontal lobe. You see an object, you're able to assess, roughly estimate the distance, frontal lobe function. Imagine what's going to happen. I've actually seen it happen. There was this media center, one of the news channels, and I was walking in. It was late evening, and I was walking in because I had a presentation to make or an interview to give. And suddenly behind me, there was this guy with his laptop bag, one of those sling bags. And he had passed me. I had noticed him vaguely. I don't even know why. And the next thing I heard is a loud crash. I looked back to see that this guy was covered with small particles of glass. It took me a while to decipher that, oh, this guy in his state of sleep deprived that he must have been, he walked through the glass. Fortunately, it was one of those expensive varieties which are supposed to not crack but crinkle, and he was saved. Otherwise, he would have been cut into I don't know how many pieces. How come the guy never saw the glass? How could he walk through the glass? A monkey or a crow doesn't. A bull in panic, a cow in panic might do so, but not a human being. The more sleep deprived we are. So why are we sleep deprived? What are we accomplishing? What are we doing day in and day out? On a serious note, check out your day. What have you accomplished? Even if you're an office goer, even if you have spent 12 to 14 hours in the office, really, what have you accomplished? What were you doing? If you are willing to be honest with yourself, you will realize that you aren't doing much, nothing so significant anyway. Zazen. Sit quietly by yourself for a prescribed amount of time. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable doing nothing.
Buddham Sharanam Gachchami.
Buddham Sharanam Gachchami.
Dhammam Sharanam Gachchami.